Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, the second time in the past two shows, we start with a rather unattractive SUV. That being said, this was Lexus's concept that they showed off, I think it was at the Paris Motor Show last year, widely regarded as one of the most, well, either polarizing, I guess would be the best way of saying it, because there was a lot of people that loved this, but an awful lot of people that didn't as well. Now, this particular vehicle is the LFNX concept and was shown off, like I said, at a motor show. I think, like I said, it was Paris Motor Show last year. Now, this particular vehicle, apparently Lexus is going to build, or at least a version of this. Hopefully it doesn't look exactly like this. It will be called just the NX. Now, no official production date or anything like that is actually being said. It's just a little precursor to what Lexus may have coming down the pike. And it may look exactly like this. It may be exactly what Lexus needs to maybe bump up their image just a tad bit as far as the normal people out there in the world, not us petrol heads that well know about the LFA. Now, this vehicle will go on sale, in theory, in the next couple of years, and we'll keep you in tune of when the NX concept actually comes out. Next up on the list, well, you may remember this particular machine, and I have to say, this thing, well, it kept me up at nights a tad bit when I did this particular first story on this vehicle. This is the Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge. Now, I was really upset that Infiniti would name just a four-door style runabout, if you will, after one of the greatest corners in all motorsports, Eau Rouge, which actually is from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. Now, this particular vehicle was long rumored, and actually the rumor that I followed, that quite possibly, because Infiniti is really actually a Nissan brand, that quite possibly this could be the long-awaited four-door GTR, which made it a little bit more exciting. Now, as far as this particular machine, it's fairly attractive. In fact, very attractive, if you ask me. Maybe not as attractive as it could be, and I don't know, I may be really splitting hairs when it comes to this particular machine. But again, I talked about this thing having that 3.8-liter twin-turbocharged V6 with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission out of the Nissan GTR. Now, obviously, Nissan would have to do quite a bit of work to try to develop this particular drivetrain system for this vehicle. Much like they did when they built the Juke R, it needed a fair amount of work, as that vehicle, as the GTR has been widely developed as far as being very well centered and whatnot, and that it was something that, especially with the Juke R, which was a lot narrower and a lot shorter in wheelbase, I pretty much think that this vehicle is going to be quite a bit longer in wheelbase and maybe a tad bit on the narrower side. Now, let's get back to that rumored deal, that 3.8-liter V6. I called it for this, then the next day after uploading that video, then it was widely done in a lot of different fronts, a lot of different magazines and whatnot, that the vehicle would actually have a normally aspirated V8. And I thought, oh gosh, I stepped on myself again, going with a rumor that I thought sounded really good, and they were more like thinking this thing would either go after the C-Class or E-Class AMG models from Mercedes-Benz. But it turns out I was right, which doesn't happen very often, so write that down. Yes, this vehicle will have the 3.8-liter twin-turbocharged V6 with the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission and all-wheel drive from the Nissan GTR. No word on whether this vehicle will actually see the light of day, but when you look at it close, it's extremely production ready. This thing has very little when it comes to concept-type materials, so hopefully Infiniti can find an actual business model for this vehicle, and it could officially see the light of day, hopefully very, very soon. Next up on the list, well, it's been a weird little story over the past several days that has really hit the interwebs hard. In fact, several videos are showing up on the interwebs of this particular deal happening. As you can see from this is a midline, a early production model, at least if it will be a hardtop version, the GTS version of the Chrysler Viper. Now, if you look at it real close, you see it's actually kind of torn up, and there's a big claw that's attached to it. The next picture, you see the car's pretty much junk. This is actually a Chrysler vehicle, and actually Chrysler has put out a little deal where every so often manufacturers, and it's done quite often, manufacturers will give out models of their particular vehicles to trade schools and colleges and whatnot, for them to get some real-world experience on real-world automobiles. Well, apparently Chrysler has contacted all the schools that they donated these vehicles to, 93 Vipers to be exact, and told them that they need to be destroyed completely immediately. Now, this has got the interwebs all up in a fluff, and there's a big deal going down where they're trying to sign a petition to save all these Vipers, because it does seem to be quite a waste. Now, there's some conflicting rumors on why exactly Chrysler has come down and said for these manufacturers to tear up these automobiles. One train of thought is that actually a couple of these cars were out on the public roads. Now, these vehicles are licensed and are not licensed, I should say, and are not made for public consumption, even though a lot of them have real deal VIN tags. In fact, one of them having 004 on the back side of the VIN tag, which means it may have been the fourth Viper to ever leave the production line. In fact, there was long rumored that the comedian Jay Leno actually tried to buy this car back in the 90s, and Chrysler turned him down. Now, let's get back to where they're tearing these vehicles up. There's a rumor floating about that a couple of these cars have actually gotten out, meaning whether it be from teachers or from students, and they've actually ended up crashing the automobiles and thus have started to sue the Chrysler Corporation over this particular situation. There's also another train of thought or a rumor floating about, and both of these have kind of been batted about, nothing really official as of yet. But another one is actually that these vehicles are quite old, mainly built in the early 90s, which means that a lot of the tech is a little bit old hat, and these vehicles are kind of just gone by the wayside. Chrysler doesn't want them out in the actual mass production as far as being in customers' hands. So they just want every one of them destroyed immediately. Like I said, the interweb is all upset about this particular situation. And I have to say, I kind of am as well. Watching all those cars come out of the sinkhole in the Corvette Museum, pretty hard to watch, and it's equally hard to watch some of these cars meet their demise. And I'll put some of the videos up on the Facebook page. A little bit hard to watch, if you will. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiast. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page and check out some of those videos, I'll leave the link down in the show notes. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.